This is the T.A.R. Life Podcast from Team Anderson Realty.
Thank you for joining us, T.A.R. Life Podcast. We have the beautiful co-host Melody Tates, top producer with Team Anderson Realty. We have Steve Poythress with Poythress Homes.
Thank you for having me.
Custom builder. We're going to go in. We're going to start with the fact that Mercedes-Benz of Greensboro has hooked Melody and I up with some Masters golf tickets.
Yes.
So if you guys are going to be at the Masters, be sure to say hello to us on April 7th.
Yep, April 7th.
Yeah. So it's going to be our first time. We're not golfers.
I don't even know where we're going.
I know.
I'm like, where are we going
It's
again?
Augusta, Georgia. That's
we
where
go.
my stepmother was raised.
Nice.
I don't even think I've told her yet. And so we're really excited. It's going to be beautiful. Steve has played a little bit.
Played a little bit.
I've
Dad lives
never
on the
played a
golf
game.
course in Preston. Been there about
Ah.
25 years.
That's a great course.
Yep.
Yeah.
SAS championship out there. Good time.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've walked even a full course before. We've sold on golf courses.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
They are beautiful. And I think I'm excited because we're going to get backstage. I guess not backstage, but we're going to get like passes for drinks and a little lounge area. I
Mhm.
think Doug described it. So definitely recommend Mercedes-Benz of Greensboro. It's not even an ad, but we love them.
Yeah, they're great.
Doug's taking great care of us. He's the manager, the new
GM.
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's a GM.
You don't think so?
No, I think he should be
He
the GM.
should be.
Yeah.
Who's ever listening?
He's going to be like, no, I need to be. I do all the work for it.
Yeah, he's great.
But we're going to lead into Steve. So Steve has built an amazing business with your family, right? I
Family
mean,
business,
is this generational?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So my father started it, T.A.R. Poythress, 30 years ago.
Wow.
30 years this
Wow.
year. And we actually do commercial as well. We do some development. We do actually real estate also. So
Don't
Yep.
say that. You're not allowed to say
not
that.
allowed to say that.
Only
Okay.
You don't do real estate. Build houses, build buildings. Just kidding. So tell us about your product. So we've sold track homes, we've sold semi-custom, and we've sold custom.
Mhm.
And you guys are fully custom, right?
That's correct. Yep. So what we can do is we're always in a development, and in that development, you'll be competing with other custom builders.
Okay.
And generally in the new developments, they'll have an on-site realtor, which represents all of the builders. With that said, they're generally on site, either in a house or a trailer or whatnot. Typically what we do is the development is divided up between a certain amount of builders,
Mhm.
and there's a certain amount of lots. And then we have a lot draw, and it's like a fantasy football draw.
Oh, nice.
And so if you've got, 8 builders and I've got pick number 1, I'll have pick number 1 and pick number 9.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what we normally do is we'll go through, there'll be a map of the community, and we'll label it 1 through 70 or how many ever lots there are. Our picks may not match with other builders, but it might be for certain reasons. We
Yeah.
might want less basement lots. We might
Mhm.
want, more of a flat topography. Some builders may love corner lots. Some
Yeah.
people steer away from corner lots. It really just depends.
Do you choose the floor plan, or does the buyer, if they come in early enough, do they get to choose the floor plan?
If it's a spec home, we choose the floor plan. Predominantly we're about, I'd say 50-50 with spec to a pre-sale. But if it's a pre-sale customer, we work generally directly with Gary Murphy with Murphy Garneau and Associates. We've also worked with Sam Young.
Mhm.
There's a lot of great architects out there, Carter Skinner. But generally, if you and your husband were riding by and you liked lot number 13, and it
Mhm.
happened to be that we own 13, you would interview us. You would let us know, mainly what your budget is or where you'd like to be. I would ask a certain amount of things like how many bedrooms would you like? How many bathrooms? The locations of that, the garages, and
Mhm.
orientation. Do you have pictures of what you'd like the elevation to look like?
Mhm.
And then generally, most people have either been in Parade of Homes, they've lived in their home, they want to make some modifications, they didn't really want to renovate.
Mhm.
Some of it's even school-based, depending
Yeah,
on if
that's
the
a good
kids
point.
Yeah.
want to go to a private school or they want to be in Wake County, which we
Mhm.
predominantly build in Wake County. But it ends up that, I'll ask most people in general, give me a wish list, give me a must-have list. I'd like to have list, and I've got to have
Mhm.
list. And, and from that generally gets us to the architect. The architect goes through generally 2 or 3 times with different models of what that floor plan would look like. And it might stay between 4,000 to 4,400 feet. We'll go back and make some modifications. They may like where the staircase is. The more information any builder gets up front, custom,
You can do a pool too, right?
we can do a
I've
pool.
seen
Yep.
I've seen some awesome pools that
Oh,
they've
yeah.
built.
And we generally work with Raleigh pools
Have you
on
done a
that.
spec with a pool, or is it
We have not done a
usually-
spec with the pool. That's a
Ah,
great question.
yeah.
Yeah. And, it's kind of a risk nowadays to do the specs with the pool because most people like them, but a lot of people don't really care for pool maintenance.
How much do those normally cost? They're gunite, right?
They are, yep. And there can also be concrete. We don't do a lot of shells. Pools, depending on, a wide variety of so many options with hot tubs, if they're salt
What
water, if
about
they're
a
fresh water.
saltwater standard pool with a hot tub? What's
It can
usually
be
the cost to the
depending
buyer?
on the size, ballpark range could be anywhere from 90, it could be up to 160.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of those.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yep.
any specs, even with custom builds that have done pools.
We're doing one right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I got a buyer under contract and I think it was a high risk for them, but I think that that's also what sold them. But they had built that property in the Charlotte area with a pool.
Okay.
And so
they
I
wanted
think with the
that.
pictures that they had of that
Right.
property, they were
Mhm.
able to sell. It's got a, cabana area. I mean, it's really nice, but you guys should consider.
Absolutely, but it's
Mhm.
also the cost of the home,
Oh,
and
sure.
everybody's got
Yeah.
a budget.
Oh, yeah.
There was a home in my neighborhood that just resold, and they had a beautiful pool in the back. But, like we've got some employees that have big dogs, and they have to have yards for
That's
the
a good
dogs to
point.
run in.
Oh, yeah.
And, some of them will have either kids out of the house or smaller kids in the house, and it's a safety concern.
Mm.
But, a lot of the new communities that we build in, they don't have the amenities.
Mm-mm.
Used to be, I used to live in Cameron Pond, and we used to have to share the same small community pool there as we did in Waycroft when I lived in there also. So, we do a lot of commercial also. We do a lot of amenities. We did a lot of stuff out in Metamont, stuff
that's
in
cool.
Amberley.
And you can build on somebody's lot, right?
Correct.
Within
Yep.
what radius would you say that somebody could use you guys?
Generally in the RTP area, I think, mainly in Cary, Raleigh, Apex, Holly Springs. We've done a lot in Wilmington, actually, at Wrightsville
Wow.
Beach. Yep.
So you
So-
will do the beach.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
So
Will
we
you do
actually-
oceanfront?
we'll do oceanfront. Yeah. We actually had a $1.8 million house that was an investment for my dad and a
Mhm.
local realtor. And we tore it down, and it was on the intercoastal side of the waterway
I
with
like
the
that.
50-foot slip.
Yeah.
And they ended up
Wow.
putting like a $4.8 million over the top modern,
Wow.
gorgeous home that now 3 years later, my dad's kind of kicking himself. My mom, Carol, why didn't we buy it? Because now it's worth $7 million.
Yeah.
So yeah, beach property's hot right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? You have to have somebody that understands the CAMA regulations and everything that's required, because if somebody goes in and they have no idea and they're just building, there's
Mhm.
so much red tape.
There is, and most of the beach properties, they want to have a pool also
Mhm.
in their backyard. They
You-
want to, you've got impervious surface that you have to work around,
Yeah. You
with,
have that with residential, right? And
We do.
commercial. I mean, impervious. I have a new construction that's custom that's being built, and we don't know how wide the driveway can be
Mhm.
because of impervious areas, because they're
Sure.
doing the pool. But so interestingly, the pool itself does not count as impervious. The
No, it's-
water.
right. The water. Yeah, but
Which
the parts
is
around
surprising.
it do.
Yeah,
And the
and
Mhm.
patio and
yeah.
everything. So
Mhm.
I think that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Is travertine still counts as impervious, right?
I
Mhm.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it does. And really any
Mhm.
hard surface.
Any
If it's
Gravel
concrete,
doesn't, right?
pavers. I'm
Does
sorry.
gravel?
Gravel depends on the municipality.
Mhm.
It can, but generally it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like gravel goes down.
And
past-
it's easily removable. I mean, it's not really like
Yeah.
it could be permanent.
And in commercial, if you have so much impervious space, you have to do those retention
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
water, and
Mhm.
those are so expensive.
They are. Yeah,
So
they are.
now for new construction, let's say I have my own lot. What are your prices per square foot? And I know it can vary based on finishes and what they're looking for, but what's your starting price per square foot? And what's the minimum size you'll build? I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to be an 800 square foot home.
Right. I mean, generally, a lot of that varies from, HOAs also.
Mm.
So, if you
Let's say
got,
it's unrestricted.
Yeah,
if
unrestricted.
it's unrestricted, I'd say probably the minimum around 3,000 feet or so. We also do some remodeling.
Mhm.
It's not really something that we look to go after.
Yeah.
We've got a big one in Preston right now that is on the golf
Oh,
course,
beautiful. I
and it's
love
about
Preston.
going to be about 9,000 feet. So
Nice.
said and done.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's your price per square foot kind of minimum? Somebody wants to
See,
use you
generally
guys.
we'll price it with the lot. So, with lot, we're anywhere, like you said, depends on so many allowances and factors, anywhere from 320 to 400 with the lot.
Right.
So if you had to take out the lot, depending on finishes, it could be anywhere from that as low as 200 number, depending
Mhm.
on, if they were fine with a KitchenAid package, but if they wanted Wolf and Gen Air and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice
When you're going
windows,
up the
Anderson
levels.
windows and stuff, you might be up to 280 a foot.
Can you
Mhm.
do those countertops that glow? Have you done those before?
We have not, but we can.
Ooh.
I am so into that.
I
Have you
don't think
seen
I've
it?
seen that.
It's
No.
what stone do they use?
Generally, they'll use a quartz.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
quartz.
I do like when you use the quartz as the backsplash. I do.
It's beautiful.
They can light that up
Absolutely stunning.
too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely
Like
stunning.
a
be
nice
so
big
nice.
one piece.
I'm
You don't
getting
have a
ready-
lot of joints in
Yep.
it.
I'm getting ready to list a home in Holly Springs that's a custom build. And he did that in his kitchen
Oh, yeah.
all the way up.
Takes
It's
a lot of
very
prep work
modern.
for that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. But I have a lot of people that would contact me with just this. I wouldn't say it's a pipe dream, but everyone thinks they can just go buy a piece of land and build a home on, right?
Mhm.
And it's much cheaper than buying a resale. And 9 times out of 10, it's definitely not. But let's say someone bought an acre and they contacted you to buy it, right? Well, to build. Does the septic, let's just say there's no community water and there's no septic system you can hook up to. Is that price rolled into your build process as far as like installing a well or putting in a septic tank?
Yes, unless
Okay.
they just, a lot of sellers will already have that into the price point when they sell it because it makes the lot more desirable to whoever they sold it to.
Mm-hmm.
So they might upfront that before they market it. And
Okay.
if they've got $25,000, $30,000 into that on a $200,000 lot, they've got $235 all in, but they might could get 300 for it now that it already has that.
But if it doesn't, you would factor that in.
Correct.
And
Yep.
if it actually had, I guess it could hook up to city or some kind of public utilities, you guys help with that.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not
Yep.
something that they have to go get a loan
Part
for
of their
and stuff there.
construction loan. could
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
build
And
it
we're
in.
having to do that in Sanctuary in Raleigh right now. Everything out there is septic and well, and it's a separate permit from the
Mhm.
house. And, a lot of that is wastewater management. A lot of it is the impervious surface.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that has to do with pools. And, can
Mm.
we design this house that we want with this wide footprint,
Right.
but still have the ability to do a pool later, even for resale, that
Yeah.
we may not want it. But you always got to think about resale when you do new
Oh, yeah,
construction.
absolutely.
And a lot of people don't.
That's so leading into that. What's the difference between a track build or a semi-custom product and custom? I know the first thing that stands out to me are the roof trusses.
Mhm.
They're not pre-manufactured, right?
Right. Most of our stuff is all stick frame built. You're not going to get a slab on construction. You're going to get either that crawl space or that basement.
Mm-hmm.
We like to give as many allowances as possible. Your main ones are going to be your cabinets and countertops,
Oh, sure.
your appliances,
Mhm.
your tile, your lighting, things like that. We've even gone to the extreme lately with the wood cost being like an EKG, and it's like an all-time
Yeah.
high and then low of just the material cost of that to there's the garage doors to front doors. I mean, so many things.
So you have
So
more options.
flooring,
But the
yeah.
quality of construction is totally
Far,
different.
Far
Yes.
better.
And the people that you use, the subcontractors, you've probably been using them for the most part for years.
Correct. Yeah.
And because I have worked with, and so has Mel, worked with a lot of just track builders, and different communities have yielded totally different products.
Absolutely.
But with Poythress, you guys have an across the board, you run a tight ship.
Mhm.
And the product quality is evident when you're
Yeah.
finishing. I remember doing a blue tape walk with Poythress, and there was not really anything to blue tape because the superintendent on the project, they already walked through it.
Mhm.
And it was beautifully presented. Whereas some of these other builders that are more track built, they seem like they're asleep at the wheel sometimes. You
Oh,
walk
yeah.
in, it's dirty, it's filthy.
Mhm.
There's holes in the walls. They have wires sticking out, and they're like,
We're sticklers on, not only customer service, because a lot of people will get into the same development that we're in. And I've had real estate agents and their agents and people like you guys that are either in it or not in it. And they'll say, what separates you guys from the other builders? Or, or what do you guys do that they don't do? And my first and foremost answer to any of that is any of these guys are capable of building you a beautiful home, just like there's a lot of nice car dealerships out there.
Good
But
point.
we like to provide really good customer service. If you guys have a question on a Friday night, on a Saturday or a Sunday, it may not be something that another builder is going to get to you until Monday, and Monday's a busy day, which turns into Tuesday. And a lot of people want to know that they've got someone that they can reach out
Absolutely.
to if something's on their mind, or they might lose sleep over the night. But, we do use always the same subcontractors day in and day out. We do not competitively bid like we do on the commercial side with our residential. Anytime I post anything, it seems like, hey, I've got a garage addition I want to do. I got a basement addition. I've got a remodel. Would you guys be interested in that? You guys do such a great job. And I tell everybody, it's a team of people. It's not just us. And
Yeah.
so, you've got to have reliable people. You got to have people that stand behind the product, people that warranty your product, because at the end of the day, it's your name on everything.
I feel like, too, you guys are local, and there's a lot of builders coming in from out of area, even if it's the same state. And you care more about your reputation in general because you guys have just been here for how long? How long
30
is your
years
family?
this year.
30
Yeah,
years.
Yeah, we've been here. So I was born and raised in Raleigh, lived in Cary my whole life, but went to Apex High School, graduated in 97. But we've been here 43 years.
43, and you've been building your family for 30 years.
For most of it.
Makes such a big difference because if I deal with any arrogant builders or superintendents, 9 times out of 10, the company itself is not based out of this area.
Yeah.
Right.
And it puts such a bad taste in the mouth. I'm dealing with one right now. And it makes such a big difference for the actual consumer,
It
the
does.
buyer,
Mhm.
and the agent.
Absolutely.
To work with people who are not arrogant, who care about how the customer feels, who is reasonable in certain things. I am sure every once in a while you guys go above and beyond, or actually every build, you go above and beyond. Like you're always like, this is what you should expect, but you probably deliver something even better than what the expectation you set.
Customers, like builders, can be tough, and there's some that, not that you're necessarily willing to do more than, but, everybody wants to feel appreciated in every aspect of life.
Absolutely.
And, it's something that we do strive for because we're not in national building magazines. We have a website, and I can tell you, I learned at a very young age. I think I was right out of college, high school. I was about 21, 22. And someone had come up to me that was looking at a house that was for sale. And we were building in Preston on the golf course. And it was another builder's house right beside us. And price per square foot was about the exact same.
Yeah.
And they built a great home. And the gentleman that was looking through it, I was a laborer at that point in time, saw me the next day at the office. And, we've got company signs with names and numbers or whatnot. I never knew if I was going to see this guy again. He just was a nosy neighbor at that point in time. And he came into the office the next day and was interested in the house, wanted to know a little bit more about it, had met with my dad at that point in time. And, patted me on the back and said, sir, you've learned a lot from your dad, it seems like. And so much is curb appeal. And so much is just, if you guys keep a clean, neat, tidy house, then you care about your product.
Absolutely.
And we can go in and we'll see Coke bottles on things, and we'll see, Snickers wrappers on the floors. And it's embarrassing for us because it doesn't look like you. And that's the other good thing
you're
about
not supervising, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about being small. I would say quantity wise, anywhere from as low as 4, but as max about 12 homes a year is what we do. But it's good because, profit margins are able to stay where they are. People we pay out every, 2 weeks to all of our subcontractors. A lot of builders will pay every 30 days.
Them happy.
Makes them happy,
Yep.
makes them feel, like,
Appreciated and-
when's the next job going to be?
Exactly. In that
Yep.
anticipation.
Yep.
I mean, it's the same thing with real estate agents. I walked into a property the other day and I had a home for sale right across the street. It was under contract, so I couldn't take my client into it. But walked into a house completely across the street and it was filthy. They didn't live there. It was empty. And the very first thing that we do as well is we want our sellers to get a clean
Yeah.
Because the very first feedback from her was, I don't even want to be in this house. It's that dirty.
Yeah.
Like, and it's the same thing. We represent our clients very well, and we want to make sure we'll pull out a broom. I can't tell you how
Oh,
many things that
yeah.
have gone to the dump.
I've
and
cleaned refrigerators.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing with a real estate agent. You know, finding someone who's going to be available on a Friday night that's going to take your call, or a Saturday.
Hands in the fire.
Yeah, we
like
always,
us.
yeah, very much so. But we care about our brand and our name as well.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
we don't want someone to pull up at our listing and see our sign and walk into a house like that, because it makes it look like, to me, that agent didn't care about how it looks. They just want to put a sign in the yard.
Right.
I mean, it goes on the real estate side too.
And I'm
It
sure
goes the
there's a
same
lot of
way.
agents that'll let the buyer know when it's going to go live or what day
Mhm.
that will be. And then they won't follow up that morning before it goes live with, hey, how does it look? Let's look at it in advance before people walk in the
absolutely.
Being
door.
proactive.
I mean, at the end of this property had been on the market for 20 days. And I'm like, how does it look like this for 20 days? You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I could absolutely see the difference between the two. It would have been night and day if my property was, on the market. But again, our
laziness or the eye.
Yeah.
Same with builder. It's like, if you don't have a natural eye for things,
brand.
Mhm.
I just don't think you have it. And
Yeah.
anybody can do it,
Right.
but it sets you apart.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we've got a field superintendent that day in and day out, what his main job or his main role is to check on all the subcontractors, make sure everyone shows up when they're scheduled to show up,
Mhm.
make sure the buyers don't have questions. And if they do, please answer them.
Yep.
He interacts with me every day. I'm more now the vice president of the company, but I'm more now on the marketing side,
Yeah.
on the contract side, the change order side.
Mhm.
Let's get, these new lots, these new developments
Right.
for him to go out there and do that product.
Absolutely.
And then we also have a runner laborer that, I spoke with twice this morning already. And I just said, hey, let's have you go to this specific house that we're building right now. And, the guys are getting ready to move in 30 days, and we probably need to change the air vents out.
Yeah.
And I don't
Oh,
care if
see?
I
the,
love that.
nice.
Yeah.
I don't you make sure all the light bulbs are still burning
Yeah.
like they are. Make
Absolutely.
sure that when the owners go in today, that it's 3 floors, it's a 14,000 square foot home.
Exactly.
That nobody wants to go in there. I don't care what price point you're in, at $200,000
Yeah.
or $2 million,
Absolutely.
and see a mess.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so,
I had one, and it was a lower price point, and it's a builder who I will not name, but they're awful. And they're known for being very inexpensive. And it's not that they build a terrible product, because it's not. I mean, it's, you get what you get, and
Sure.
you're expecting that. But they had somebody that worked there, one of the subcontractors, they spilled a whole entire Coke in, and it was a stove, but it had the coils.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just sitting there, and it was nasty. And I'm like, how are you just not aware of
Yeah.
what it looks like when
Mhm.
it's that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just one of many things.
Mhm.
And it blows my mind that there are some people, whether it's agents, even though it shouldn't be, or builders, they only care about their bottom
Sure.
dollar. They will
Mhm.
use the cheapest subcontractor. They will hire less people, so it's less money. There is one builder that I'm not going to name, and I heard through somebody that used to work there, it's a track builder, that before the whole pandemic, they actually paid engineers to see what 2x4s they could remove from their building
That's
products.
insane.
That's
And
correct.
so they save so much money
Mm.
by removing X number of 2x4s. It's like 3 or 4 from each house. And it just blows my mind, because they're still making, it's a national builder,
Mhm.
tons of money. And when you don't care, when you get to that level where you don't care at all, I have a big problem with it. And that's why I think a lot of buyers and consumers, that once they're past their initial first home, when they're moving up, they really look for either a custom product or to build a custom home.
Quality.
I will say,
Yeah.
anytime I walk into a Poythress, I know it's a Poythress.
Yeah.
I just know it. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is a Poythress home,
Mhm.
and guarantee it.
Yep.
And the quality, even if it's resale, is so apparent.
Right.
Mhm.
There's
Well-
not shifting. There's not, a lot of
You
issues.
can just feel, it's like my home. I've got 3,800 square feet, 3 floors. When my kids are on the 3rd floor, I can hear them on the 1st floor.
Right.
I mean, it's like, what are they made out of? Paper? I mean,
Mhm.
it's the quality at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Well, we always strive to do, quality over quantity.
Is
And,
your
and that's a big difference.
is your insulation, like, do you blow in your insulation?
We blow in our insulation in the attics and then also in the basement, but and above the standard insulation code, we also put it in our laundry rooms,
Oh,
in
that's
between
so
our
nice.
bathrooms.
Yes.
things that, separates us from maybe and it comes out of our bottom dollar. And like we spoke, prior to going live here, that there's certain houses that you hardly make anything. And there's
Yeah.
ones that would love to have a second or third one that year.
Yeah.
So, with us, kind of like what we were talking about, using the same contractors, there's so many variables of things, because not a lot of our vendors right now are really, if you guys come to design a home with me right now and I need to order framing wood, that house is going to be priced based off of, if there's not a framing allowance, based off of what today's lumber number is. But all of a sudden, if it's 3-4
You
months
can
from
float it
now,
down.
from the time of profit, if that number comes down, it's beneficial to me. But if it goes up, it hurts me, but it
Oh,
helps
I
the
see.
buyer.
Right.
So instead of floating it, you're kind of like, it's when you lock in an interest rate for a loan.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
It-
So like our vendors won't lock in that, we have certain ones that will, maybe like our appliance company, Kitchen and Bath Galleries in downtown Cary. But, it's hard to lock in like a framing number that's going to be anywhere in our price point from 80,000 to 200,000 for,
Wow.
4 to 5 months. Nobody knows what it's going to be.
How much of a fluctuation have you seen on wood from when, like, what's the most extreme?
Wood has gone up.
I'm talking about like when it's ordered to when you guys made the order.
151%.
Whoa,
Gee.
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
crazy.
So we
Did
get
you almost fall over?
we get weekly reports.
Wow.
Fall over, lose sleep, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. But
Wow.
like a $50,000 framing package is now $150,000.
Oh my
It's tripled.
gosh.
Yeah.
And, and you've got that price. If I'm quoting you a price of $925,000 to build that, and we're already in contract, and there is no allowance for framing, that's number that comes in from
As
the
your-
profit side of
yeah.
ours. Yeah.
But
And
you're
why
not
we-
cutting corners other places because
we
the frame-
can't.
Right.
No.
That's what I'm
we're
saying.
everything is by the contract.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
there's some homes that, and I don't mind saying it, that last year we made a couple $1,000s on, and other ones that we
I
would
want a
love to have a
Poythress
couple
home
times
that you
again.
made only a couple $1,000s on. That would be
That's-
amazing.
That's when the wood went.
Can
from
you
50
sign
to-
me up for that?
In autumn wood, we sure can. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is one thing? I know this is probably a loaded question, but what is one thing that you see that someone has added to a house when they're custom building? And you're like, that is a really good idea.
A lot of, and you're seeing it now a lot on HGTV, you're seeing it a lot on Instagram Reels or whatnot, but a lot of hidden features.
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
so you've
Like
got
a hidden office? Can
you've
you do
got
that?
hidden offices. You've got a pantry that has a panelized door
Seen
that looks
that.
like it's part of the cabinet, and you open it up and the pantry's tucked in behind it.
Ooh.
We've done a house before where it had a 2-story foyer, and you go up the main set of steps, and when you get up to the landing, there's a bookcase, but the bookcase has a piano hinge, and
Ooh.
you push the bookcase open, and there's an office or a bedroom
Oh, I
behind
love
there.
that.
I love
Yeah,
that.
That's nice.
How about one of those islands that goes down into
That's pretty
a
cool. I've
wine
never
cellar?
done one of those, but those are pretty
Could
neat.
you do it?
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yeah.
yes, let's do it. Let's
Do
win the
all-
lottery.
Let's do all of it.
Do all the crazy stuff.
Right now, it seems like the most popular trend that we're seeing is, which has been for a while, but open floor plans,
Mhm.
primaries or masters down. I still like to
Absolutely.
say
That's
master,
gonna be
even though
my
I
next
guess I'm
one.
not allowed to.
Well, yeah, you
But,
can.
but
We still do in our marketing. I mean,
What?
saying master bedroom versus primary.
Yeah, primary bedroom
You
on the
know,
main. Yeah, that's
with
important.
guest bedrooms also.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is a lot of people that, whether you're my age, which is 43, or my parents' age, which is 69, or a young new married couple, a lot of people are. My grandmother moved in with my parents for 27 months. She had bad Alzheimer's and dementia, and they didn't want to send her to an assisted living.
Yeah.
And, he's like, he told my mom, he said, Carol, he said, my mother raised me my whole life, and I'm going to take care of her. And I don't want to assume the worst or not have that type of
Absolutely.
control over there to have her the best care that she can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their home is 30 years old, and they didn't have that room downstairs. So she actually stayed in the living room, and they only had a powder room
Wow.
downstairs. So they had to
Okay.
hand wash
Yeah.
her for 27 months.
Oh,
But
my gosh.
a lot of people will use that second bedroom, if you're not in that situation
Mhm.
yet, for another office.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. An
Yep.
exercise room. We've
Mhm.
seen arts and crafts rooms, yoga rooms.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit of everything.
Some-
Sometimes people have surgeries too, and
Yeah.
they can't use the stairs.
Yep.
I've
Correct.
seen that happen.
And then making
Knees.
the doorways like handicap accessible.
Oh,
That's
good
really Yeah,
point.
I had a
That's
custom
helpful.
build in Fuquay that was like that. So I think for my next home, I've always been like master on the main, and then a second bedroom that's got wheelchair.
like an ensuite.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
and
just for like
wheelchair
I think
accessible.
about my parents,
Sure.
right? Where my parents could stay.
Mhm.
And
that
we'll
sort of thing.
we'll actually tell. And I got this everything I've learned through my dad. But he had built his home in '97. But that's when camcorders were big, and you had to put them over your shoulder. But what he did at that point in time is, after the home was framed, he went through and recorded where everything was behind the walls.
Okay.
Whether it was electrical
Yeah,
or
that's
whether it was
smart.
a plumbing
Yeah, that's-
line or
Mhm.
whatnot.
So that you don't nail into it.
Right.
Yep, that's what I do with my clients when we do our
Yeah.
That's
before
great.
our installation is just take pictures and like
Sure.
TVs and before you go hitting on a wall.
But what we'll do with that is we'll go ahead and put in like the blocking for if
Love
someone
that.
wants to do a
Yeah.
grab bar later,
Yep.
or they'll need to add it. They'll
Oh,
know
my
where it's
dad
at.
does that. Whenever we're remodeling a bathroom, he thinks about that. So we
Mhm.
do extra blocking for
Yep.
that. That's smart. And so when you have somebody that's building, you're thinking about anything that could happen in the future,
Mhm.
right? Have you done elevators, or have
We-
you left room for one?
Yep. We've got a house right now that's under construction, and the comical thing about that is it has an elevator shaft.
Mhm.
He's going to put one in later.
Yeah.
So right now he's going to make it an indoor rock climbing shaft.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah.
That's really smart.
Yep. So he's going to have
Is he an avid climber?
no, but he's a guy my age that is also a good friend of mine, and he likes to go to
You
the
guys just
gym
thought
and
about it?
Lifetime, and it was all him. It was all him. Yep. And there's actually a hidden door that we just spoke about that's off of the
Mm.
hallway,
Mm-hmm.
and you open it up, and in between the walls, it's got a slide that gets you down to the basement.
Oh wow.
So it's pretty cool.
You sound like you have a cool friend.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
How long have you known this
So,
friend?
I've known him for probably about 8 to 10 years right now. Local
Aw.
business guy.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Tell your
So-
friend that's a very smart, fun feature.
Indoor basketball courts,
Okay.
full court.
oh yeah.
Oh, I saw a post. Was
Yeah,
that his
same
place?
house.
Okay,
Oh.
let him know that we need to come
Yeah,
over.
we would like a private tour. I want to go
Yeah.
rock climbing in somebody's
Yeah, we
house and
need
go down a
to-
slide,
Yeah.
shoot
Do a
some
little-
hoops.
Shoot
Well,
some hoops.
I want to see Mel do that. She's an expert basketball player.
Actually,
Is she?
I did play basketball in high school.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. she's
Even
an
though I'm only
expert.
4'11".
Yeah. My daughter's 5'2" and she plays. So
Oh, I like
No.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, don't discredit the short people.
No, you got it. You just
Yeah.
got to have a good throw, right?
It's just like hiking.
That's right.
Oh, she's an avid hiker.
Yeah.
If it's 5 or more miles, she loves it.
Absolutely. And in
Yeah.
2 feet of
Oh,
snow
snow?
Yeah.
with 5 layers on.
Nice.
She's such a good sport. She's
I'm a
like,
good sport.
oh my gosh. So tell me, so we're going back to track built versus
Sure.
But the
your
custom.
quality custom.
Mhm.
When you are doing the build, let's say you're roofing, do you guys do extra flashing, or is there something that you do that you've noticed? Obviously, you're not using a 20-year shingle.
Mhm.
But what are you doing in terms of the
Typically,
quality?
we'll do like an architectural tab shingle that's 30 years.
Mhm.
Our roofing company we use pretty much day in and day out also does our gutters and shutters, which is trademark roofing. They're pretty close to you guys, I believe, out in like Holly
I
Springs.
did not
Mark
know that.
Cagle
Okay.
is the owner who does that. And they do a lot of our commercial also. They do metal roofs, they do copper roofs, they do a lot of things out there. We do a lot of waterproofing underneath our front porches.
Oh, that's a great
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
Because that could be a water issue.
It can, especially if it's a flat roof.
Yeah. Do you condition your crawl spaces ever?
We do.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
We-
standard.
It's not standard. And there actually was, I'm glad you brought that up. It was a problem in one home that we did have, which was the first time doing a sealed crawl space.
Mhm.
And this was probably 12 to 15 years ago. And what we had learned by experience, and I tell my kids, my children, everybody, I learn everything by experience and usually failures. Nobody's perfect.
Good point.
But, we had the framing package delivered.
Mhm.
It poured rain overnight.
Mm.
And then the framer showed up the next day.
Oh, no.
So crawl space was down. We put in the floor system,
no.
had that inspected the same day, put down the plywood, built the house. But being that there was no vents in the crawl space, there was nowhere for
It's a-
room for that to breathe.
Oh, no.
And then at the very end, when they conditioned the space, they noticed that there was mold in there. And the lady actually that lived there had bad cancer. And I mean, so we had to go in there Everything was warranted, everything was written, but the company that we
Yeah.
use day in and day out
Yeah.
all the time, once again, that is a certified mold, company.
Good.
They went in there and she hasn't had any problems since
Good.
then.
Good.
And
Yeah.
it's so nice you guys go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
How
is-
long is your structural warranty
Our
for?
structural is 6 years. We
Okay.
have a 1-year builder warranty. Our structural warranty is through a company called RWC, which is
Mhm.
Residential Warranty Corporation.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to get, approved to be one of their builders.
Nice.
We've only had one issue with that probably about 20 years ago in Preston with the gutter guard where water got behind a wall that was in a living room. They came out and they took care of that. But we like to give a lot of suggestions to buyers without being too overly opinionated of things that we see or current trends.
Do you do your runoff underground?
We do.
Oh, that's so big for me.
We
So
do.
annoying.
And my mom, actually, she's, I'd like to say semi-retired for her sake, but, we offer her service free of charge. She picks out all of our plumbing fixtures, our lighting, our carpets, our
Oh.
appliances,
That's why they look so
everything.
good.
So, yep, I can say that's why
Your
they look
mom
so
has
good.
amazing taste.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. She's got an
Yeah.
artistic background, and
That's great.
that's where her and my dad met at Boston. So
I love
Yep.
that.
That's
I hear
great.
that story all the time. So yeah, it's just
So
she's
why don't you
either
do
to blame for the style or
Aw.
the credit for the style. But
Do you have a design
Oh.
center? Where are you guys going to do design? Is it different? Like where are people going? Is there a flooring, and then where are we going for?
being that we're truly
Fixtures.
custom,
Yep.
we would like for them to go to. So for our appliances, we use kitchen and bath galleries,
Mm.
and they're in downtown Cary.
Yep.
For our tile, we use so many different vendors. We've
Okay.
used Bird Tile, we've used Dow Tile, Florida Tile,
Mm.
and we have, representatives for each one of those companies. Cabinets, a lot of the time, most of the time, we use First Choice Custom Cabinets. They're out of Raleigh. Splash Galleries is a division of Raleigh
What
Plumbing.
kind of windows do you guys use?
Depends.
We've
huh?
been using a lot of Ply Gem lately.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've done some Anderson, done some
Mhm.
Pella.
What's the wait time on windows?
It's gotten a
for
lot
you
better.
guys? Okay.
It
Yeah.
used to be about 6 months, and now it's like 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
it's
Yeah.
substantially better.
Wow.
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
now, really, a lot of the things that we are
Sure.
struggling with is labor still from our subcontractors.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It
'cause
is.
You hear people all the time say that they're looking for jobs, but then everybody needs help.
And they
so-
have people that show up, and they're there for a week and they
Yeah.
leave, or it's
Too
not
much
what they
work.
thought it was going to be, or it's
It's
too
work.
much work.
I
or
can't handle this.
it's
What
too-
is this?
Yeah.
My hands are getting calloused.
What is
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
And the frustrating part about being a builder is everybody's like, well, when am I going to move in? When am I going to move in? Like, we get our 10% deposit up front,
Okay.
and then we collect 90%, the balance of it at the very end.
So you
other
wanna
than through
close-
change
yeah.
orders, I want you guys to move in a week.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, have it last 16 months to 24
Yeah, their
months.
10% is not covering the cost to build the house.
No way. Even if they have their own construction loan, because we've got overhead, we've got management fees, we've got
Mhm.
superintendents we're paying, truck, gas,
Mhm.
utilities, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So a lot of it, customers, I don't think really input that into
Mhm.
that. They just see
Mm-mm.
like the end picture
No.
and why is it being held. And I just had a review with the gentleman that works with me. He's 21 years old, really great guy. Daniel is his name. Worked for his dad's construction company, doing some odd and end jobs. And I told Daniel, I said, Daniel, sadly, I said, you don't like letting people down. He can get some anxiety. And I said, but you need to be honest with people. And if we were supposed to landscape this house on Tuesday and it rained the whole week before, Tuesday may go into the following Tuesday.
Yeah. You just need to have that communication.
And you got to have an open line of communication, because a lot of people that we build for are out of state.
Yeah.
And they come in and they fly in and they say, well,
What's
when
going
you
on?
guys gave us a 60-day window or calendar of what's to be projected, you're now 2 weeks behind. And why is that? And so
I had a track builder that was 9 months behind.
Okay. I took 18 months on a track builder.
Yeah.
18
It was great.
months.
It was
And
awesome.
It was terrible.
Interest rates went from like 3s to 7s.
Oh, yeah. And they couldn't lock. They were.
Crazy.
And the house still wasn't 100% when we closed. There was still a laundry list of things they needed to
How
do.
long does it take to build? Let's say you got a raw piece of land, you have no sewer, no water. How much time does it take on average for just a standard 3,000 square foot home?
3,000 square foot home, we used to could do anywhere from 6 to 8
Mhm.
months. now it's realistically, it's taken anywhere from as short as 10 to 14 months.
Okay.
But a lot of that is the labor burden. I
Yeah.
mean, as crazy as it seems,
And what
it-
about the others? Like when you're in a community, what time frame?
maybe another 2 or 3 months more past that. But generally, most of the well and septic is already in that
Yeah.
situation that you described. It wasn't. But,
Mhm.
you know, in a new community, either the water and the sewer is already
Mhm.
there, and it's
And
just
so
a
how
matter
long
of
does
them
that take?
making a
6
tap.
months?
The bigger the home, you know, it takes more to
Mhm.
do. The more custom the home, the more
Mhm.
it takes to do. The more changes it takes to
Minimum. What's the
do.
minimum?
Minimum's probably, I would say, 8 to 9 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about clearing? So let's say that someone found a piece of land, it was an acre, they want to build a home and it's not cleared. We've already talked about the water and this, septic as far as that goes. Are they supposed to clear it before you guys build, or is that also part of that process that you guys can do as far as clearing?
Generally, we would ask to see like what type of footprint that someone that's going to buy that lot is
Yeah.
interested in doing. You don't want to 100% clear it because of the well and septic. It needs a certain amount
Yeah.
of trees
Trees.
and vegetation in there.
Correct. Yeah.
But generally, if someone's going to build like a 60 by 40 foot box
Yeah.
with setbacks, they could clear anywhere from like 80 to 60 feet.
But are you guys doing that as part of the process? Is
We
that
manage
something?
everything
Okay.
from start to finish,
Great.
from the
Yeah.
clearing to the
Turnkey.
CO.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are just so. I get so many questions of is, what does that process look like? Do I have to do all these things? The loan part, because construction loans are obviously a little bit trickier than
Sure.
getting a. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, we started 3 or 4 years ago with kind of putting more pressure on the buyers to get them to have their own construction loans.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is that so many of them were unsure as to what they wanted,
Mhm.
or they would take their time. And, I'd say, hey, I need your plumbing selection by May 13th. And all of a sudden it would be June 13th.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, look, we've got $2,500 in interest that we're paying on this house now. I need you to make a decision.
Who's doing that? Who do you generally use for construction? Well, I guess the buyers. Who are they using?
It's really the buyers.
Okay.
BB&T a lot. Chris Bissett, we work with down at Fidelity Bank in
Yeah.
downtown Cary.
I
We
think
work with
Steve
her a
can
lot.
do it too. Yeah.
It's really a lot of the people already have a relationship,
Yeah,
or
with
it's somebody
someone.
that's been referred to them.
Yeah, a lot of people have to buy the land first too. I know that's kind of tricky too.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
the economy's kind of funky right now. And some people are scared to build with a custom builder or build in general because they're worried that we had a lot of bankruptcy. You guys are not going to have that problem, right?
No, and I sat in, a conference with, I sat in a conference with another real estate agency. I won't say who,
Mhm.
not too long
Yeah.
ago. And they talked
Yeah,
about,
do not say who.
the national builders as a whole compared to
Mhm.
the local builders.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
said, everybody's got to stop being so concerned about what's happening in New York or
Oh,
Oh, it's
California
totally
absolutely.
different.
or Boston.
But let's just say it's terrible here. This is worst case scenario. You are one of the builders that's been around even when the
You've
economy
seen it up the
was
ebbs and
bad.
flows
I
of
I've
mean,
it.
seen it.
Yeah.
and you guys don't overdo how many homes you build. So
No.
you guys
We want
have
to be able to manage
you're going to
them.
float it.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
you're not going to go bankrupt and leave people hanging.
Correct.
And I think that's so important because sometimes somebody can do it for less
Mhm.
and they just came into the area and they don't have any type of capital to work with. They're just
Correct.
working on bank loans. And those are the people that are more high risk for buyers,
Yeah, absolutely.
people that are building.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's a huge thing, especially when somebody who's risk intolerant, which I think in the build process, you really should use a builder that has, and I don't want to say deep pockets, but you guys have obviously a history of
Mhm.
building a good product. You're not just starting out.
Correct.
So you have the capital to make it work no matter what the economy.
Well, yeah,
you're
I mean,
in.
the last thing you want when you're, building that is a builder that's not paying their bills and
Absolutely.
somebody
Oh,
that
exactly.
leans somebody that leans the
Absolutely.
house and, gets upset because they hadn't been paid in 30
Mhm.
days and whatnot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's why we do use the same subcontractors because
Mhm.
we do have that relationship.
Yeah.
And anytime anybody asks me anything, I always just say, one of our mottos is we try to build every home as if it's our own.
Absolutely.
Yep. And, it puts a bad taste in somebody's mouth if somebody like yourself says, hey, who would you recommend for a carpet company? And they do a crappy
Exactly.
job for you. And
Mhm.
it doesn't make me look good at the end of the day. You're not blaming the carpet company, but this is Steve. This is who you referred me to.
Yep.
So where can buyers find you guys? What websites?
We are at homes.com.
Mhm.
And on there, we also have a listing of our commercial
Yes.
Contractors, we have before and after photos. We have an About Us section. We have a community section,
Mhm.
interior photos, exterior photos. Currently, we have some specs that we're getting ready to start in Sanctuary in Raleigh.
Great. Okay.
We do have a lot in downtown Cary that is off of Waldo Street
Mm-hmm.
that we spoke about before. We are sold out in Autumnwood. We are sold out in Montvale.
There will be more.
There will be more.
Mhm.
Yep. Sanctuary at Lake Wheeler we have a lot draw on that next week.
Okay.
There'll be another 4 to 5 lots out there. And we do know of more lots that are going to be coming more on the west side of
Okay.
Cary where we've
Yeah.
been building a lot. Colin Davidson will be that developer, but we are still kind of waiting for that phone call just because everything was
Awesome.
kind of on a timeout
Yeah,
with
yeah,
COVID and
absolutely.
people being out of the office.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Super informative.
Very, yes.
And I definitely recommend Poythress Homes for anybody who wants a custom product or a renovation or something. If you guys are willing to do it, anything that you guys touch is just amazing. So thank you
Well,
for
I
coming on,
appreciate it.
and we appreciate everybody joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the T.A.R. Life podcast with top producing mega agent Erica Anderson. If you've enjoyed this episode or found the content to be useful or fun, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Visit our website at www.teamandersonrealty.com. We are actively serving the Triangle area, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, and the coastal regions of North Carolina. If you're looking to sell a home, please contact Team Anderson Realty to set up an in-person or virtual consultation today.